Take two. Hello beautiful people. A little backstory: when I was 18, you're basically in high school and they're telling you to choose a future, and I thought I'd be a pediatrician, so I decided to do my bachelor's of science in bio. And so I'm currently finishing that right now, but I've decided to change my path because I don't want to go to med school, so I'm thinking of doing nursing. So I did apply to a few schools for registered nurse, and I'm hoping that I do get in, because ultimately my plan now is to become a nurse practitioner, and I will definitely be documenting every up and every down in my path and in my journey that I'm gonna be going on now. So I thought, you know, like, might as well educate or provide some insight as I go along. So this week's video is going to be about the CASPer test. So the CASPer test stands for Computer-Based Assessment for Sampling Personal Characteristics. And what they mean is they want to know how you will react and what your thought process is and critical thinking in certain situations that are more likely connected to ethics. And what I mean by that is they'll present you a situation and they want to know if you are just thinking of one solution or you're thinking of multiple ways to tackle the situation. And basically you want to present yourself as someone who's not gonna just stick with one situation or one solution and not hear someone else's side. And I know for a lot of you guys watching this video, you're probably like, oh no, there's always different sides and no one's gonna like just think of one. But when you are in this type of situation, a lot of people tend to just act like quickly. So I'm basically going to tell you what the test is, how it's built, what's going on, how you should try to tackle the situations, how you should prepare and all that. So you would first sign up on the website, get that over with. I think you pay 70 bucks, I'm not really sure. You pay a set amount for registering a time and a date, and this will happen online. And they do require a computer with a webcam because they will record you. Not that you will see, but they will record you while you're taking the test so that there's no cheating or you looking at your phone or anything. So it's best to just go in prepared. Another thing you guys have to understand is that it is 12 sections, and it's multiple. For one section there's multiple questions, there's usually 3, and they only give you 5 minutes. So you really have to try to micromanage your time. Like, you don't want to just work on one part of the question for 5 minutes and then not have the other 2. And it's okay in a fact where like you do run out of time, and it's fine if you don't finish all your answers, but you have to try to just separate the time with the questions. So if there's 3 questions, you have 5 minutes, then you could try to do the first question for 2 minutes, the second question for 2 minutes, and the last question for 1 minute. Or you could do 1.5 minutes for the first questions, 1.5 minutes for the second question, and then 2 minutes for the last question. However you want to break it up, you just want to do this all prior to actually going into the test. There's no point in looking back, because again, this test is based off of your first reaction, first response, it's initial everything. There's no time to like really think about it. They want to know who you are like in a split second. So you have 12 sections, each being 5 minutes, and some of them are going to be videos, a minute-long video. That's not included in the answer portion. That's just the question and then the answer. So the question, they usually give you a minute or a minute to look at the question or watch the video. They then offer you a 30-second time to think about it, and you can always skip it if you don't want to think about it. And then after that, they start the time, and it's 5 minutes to answer the 3 sections. So an example is you're in a group and you are doing a project. You're watching your group members have this conversation. So your group member, we'll call him Jack. Jack says, oh, did you notice that Jessica is not coming in lately, and she's not been handing in her work for our project. And I know we've worked with her this whole year, but I'm kind of upset that she's not putting in the effort and we're doing in all the work. Then you have Max, who's your other group member, who's going, hey Jack, maybe she's going through something stressful, or there's something that's going on. But I do understand that it is upsetting that we're doing all the work, but we did go through the whole year with her, and it's not fair if we kick her out now. That will mean she will fail the course. And then they'll both look at you and they'll ask you, what will you do in this situation? After you've thought about and rationalized all the different scenarios, as in, one, she could have something going on at home and that's bothering her, which is why she's not putting in her 100%. Two, she really doesn't care. Or three, she is trying, this is the hardest that she's trying, what she's given is her 100%. In these three scenarios, you come up with a solution for each three. That is usually your part A. Part B is usually, what would you do if she really doesn't care and you have to go to the professor? And, or what would you do, what's a solution you would recommend? And it's like, oh, maybe we could split it up, or you can help her in a situation where you'd have to help her find help, or give her resources, or let her talk to you about whatever's going on in her life. Then there's also the question where, what would you do as the professor? As in, would you just, you know, tell the student you failed the course, whatever? Or would you, as a professor, give them a chance to explain, maybe give them a solution, an extra assignment, you know, like, so you don't want to go towards, I'm gonna tell the professor, she's gonna get kicked out, she will fail. That shouldn't be the judgment. It shouldn't be the answer to that question. You want it to be like, I've thought of all the situations, I've tried to give her a solution. If she still doesn't want to comply to our solution and our schedule, then I'll go to the professor. However, I will still offer my support when going to the professor so that she doesn't lose a grade or she's not completely affected. Another point that I should address is they also do some personal questions where they want you to think about a struggle or think about a time that you were in a conflict and how did you battle this conflict. So you kind of want to, instead of just start the test and just get bombarded with this question, you kind of want to think about this question. What is a struggle you've gone through? How have you dealt with it? What could you have done different? These are the things that they want you to tackle. So you kind of try to think of maybe 2 to 3, because I remember there was 2, one personal and one work for me. Think of a personal, think of a family, and think of a work conflict and what you could have done better, what you could have done differently to help the situation. Think of all these aspects before going into the test. A little common theme is that when you're looking at, and in life, not even just with the test, but when you are in a conflict, there are 4 things you want to consider. You want to consider your role, who you are in this situation, the type of scenario that's happening, if it's out of your scope or if it's something that you can help with. You have to think about the people that are involved, how many people are involved, the position they're in, their role. And the last, you want to think about the most pressing issue. So when tackling these situations in life and when answering these questions on CASPer, you kind of want to go from the most pressing issue to the least. So in the example I did previously about your teammate or your group member, your most pressing issue would be that she is not giving in 100%. Then your second issue would be it is affecting yourself. And the third issue would be, would you kick her out? Would you not kick her out? How are you dealing this with your group members? You also have to remember you have to consider every situation as a 50-50. There is some people that are right and there are some people that are wrong. So the golden rule in the CASPer test is never make assumptions. And that is something that should also be applied in real life. So when I say never make assumptions, if something is happening, such as that example about Jessica, Max, and I forgot the other name, Jake. if there is something you want to take from there, is that you don't want to assume Jessica is not putting in any work because she doesn't care. You don't want to make any assumption without being given all the information in that situation. And you can't fill in a puzzle without all the puzzle pieces. So keeping that in mind, do not assume, and make sure that when you are reading a question, do not go for your first judgment. Because usually when you see something, you're just thinking, wow, that person's wrong, or that person's this person's that. No, that's usually our first reaction. We want to go past that first reaction and start peeling the onion. Whatever the case may be, do not assume or make the assumption. Question the assumption. After you question the assumption, there are multiple concerns that need to be addressed. The concern of the group member, the concern of the person that's bringing up the issue, and also your own concern. So you want to question and then address all the concerns that you can see fit in this scenario. Last but not least, just remember that even if you run out of time, it's okay. It's just as long as you've wrote as much as you can't go back. It's what's done is done. You just want to keep going, keep moving forward, because you don't want to stress about it and then lose time or lose focus on the rest of the questions. Again, you have 12 sections, 5 minutes per section, and honestly, if section 1 and 2 didn't go well, you still have 10 more sections. So really just breathe, get a glass of water or tea, light a candle when you're doing the test, something to keep you calm. Just remember, if you didn't finish it, it's fine. Move on. Like personally, when I study for tests, I like to do practice tests or quiz myself, and it's kind of hard to quiz yourself or practice when it's all ethical questions and it's not like a math problem that you can continuously work on until you get right. So what I really like, even though that it's really new, the website still has an opportunity where you can do a practice test, and it's formatted the same. So you have 6 sections, you complete the 6 sections, then you get a break, a 10-minute break, and it's obviously optional, so you can get up, stretch, whatever, and come back and then finish the next 6 sections. A takeaway from this video would be to not make assumptions. If there are assumptions that are being made, question those assumptions. The second one would be to think about your struggles and your conflicts, what you could have done differently, what you should have done, what you did do, what you thought about, who did it involve, everything, so that you're not going into this test struggling to figure out what your personal experience would be. Your third would be to complete the practice test on the CASPer test so that you are familiar with the structure, with the time, with how you have to think quickly. It really gives you a look into the actual test, how fast you have to type, how fast you have to think, how long are the videos, how long are the questions. You know, it really helps to do the test prior. And the fourth one is to relax. It's okay, you've got this, you've made it this far, and just remember that if you run out of time, it's okay, it's fine. Just continue, take a deep breath, move on to the next question. And I hope you guys succeed into whatever path. If you're watching this, then I hope you succeed into whatever school you're getting in that requires the CASPer. I'll keep you guys posted on my journey on whether I get accepted or not, which is a hopeful that I do get accepted. Don't forget to follow my Instagram, which I'll link below. My TikTok is also linked below. And don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Love you. Stay safe. Bye, beautiful people.